What's up, everybody? Welcome to IGN Game Scoop. I'm your host, Damon Hadfield. Joining this week is Justin Davis,
Scoop.
Sam Claiborne,
Scoops,
and Marty Sleva.
Wow.
And we've got a great show for you this week. We're going to talk about 10 big games we know are coming in early 2018. It's never too early to start looking ahead to next year.
It is. This is right now.
I'm calling it. It's too early.
We're going to revisit last week's big topic, EA closing Visceral and pivoting its Star Wars game into more of a game as service, because we've got some quotes from an ex-Visceral dev that are fairly interesting. But first, this week is probably the biggest week of the year for us video gamers. Three enormous games all out this week, all out on the same day on Friday. Super Mario Odyssey, Assassin's Creed Origins, and Wolfenstein 2.
And it's crazy they're all Friday.
They're all on
What
Friday.
happened to
yeah.
Tuesdays?
Yeah, what happened to
Bring
Tuesday?
back Tuesday.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
And then this Tuesday was kind of quiet.
What are you talking about? We got
Funny.
the Mummy.
We got the
And for a couple
Mummy,
seconds, we got
demastered.
Planet of the Apes.
which is a pretty cool 16-bit
Way Forward.
Metroidvania by Way Forward, who made
Yeah.
the Shantae series. Which
Yeah. Apparently, they just borrowed stuff from Contra and Metroid and made a Mummy game.
yeah, and they've made a Contra game before.
They have made a
It's a
Contra.
Controid?
Controid.
Right.
I know we have various levels of experience with these big games that are coming out this week. I don't think any of us have played Mario, the final version. I guess Justin played like 20 minutes of it.
Played 20 minutes of it.
But
Yeah,
we
I
have
watched you play that 20 minutes.
Yeah, it was
You did a good job.
Thank
You missed a couple coins and it drove Pear crazy.
Yeah, Peril was really he was an upset man. No, I said on Scoop last week or 2 weeks ago that I played the game at E3 and Comic-Con and just found Mario's controls to be a little bit slow and didn't feel quite right. And I think I figured it out. Which camera I'm looking? Okay, the one with the red light. So,
so many cameras.
I think it's because for whatever reason at trade shows, Nintendo is really pushing you to play it with the Joy-Cons. And
Separated even.
Separated. That's how they're trying to encourage people to play that game. And when the Pro Controller, man, if you have a Pro Controller at home, that's the way to play.
Yeah, you can even do the motion controls like Ryan, who reviewed the game, takes the full Pro Controller and does these little flicks of his wrist, and it does the exact motion. So I don't know why they're encouraging the other.
So I don't want anyone to feel discouraged. Like, don't feel afraid to play the game. Like, play the game however you want to play the game. But for me, like, once I had my hands joined back together and got a chance to sit with the game, like, away from the pressure of a trade show, I don't have those same concerns about Mario's movement. Although I didn't play enough of the game to really judge the game itself.
Yeah. By the time the listeners and viewers hear and see this episode, Ryan's review of Super Mario Odyssey will be live. However, it's not live at this moment, but we are pretty sure it's getting a very, 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 very good score.
Yeah, I think about 20 minutes ago there was a conversation, and it's getting a 10.
Yeah.
I'm calling it.
Okay.
Wow.
You're calling it.
So if that conversation got pulled back, it's on you.
Goodness gracious.
fine.
If it turns out to be like a 9.7, the readers will know
Something bad would have to happen between now and hitting publish, which should be very soon.
You know, it's gonna be really interesting. We're updating we're making our top 25 Switch list, and it's gonna be really interesting to see.
I mean,
which one of them's number one?
Oh boy.
oh man. Well, it's going to be really interesting which one of them's number one at the end of this year.
Yeah,
I mean,
Game of the Year is
Mario
one thing, but top
or
25
Arms?
list.
Yeah. Mario or ARMS.
Splatoosh.
You have to know, Zelda got a 10. Mario got a 10. Not only do we get two new mainline Mario and Zelda games in the same year.
They're seemingly the best in a decade.
In a long
So
time.
exciting.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to see Nintendo doing well again.
It's neat because like Mario Galaxy 2 got a 10. And that was the last, big 3D Mario game. But the last couple Zeldas, did really well too. So it's like the series. But we don't look back at Skyward Sword and say like, that's an obvious 10. But so
Well, we all do our best
it's an issue.
when we review games, and sometimes I've said it on Scoop before. Sometimes we're like, yeah, we really nailed that score, and sometimes we underrate things, and sometimes in hindsight we say, maybe that score is a little too high. And I think you're right. Skyward Sword, like, it hasn't quite aged in the way that some other games have.
But different reviewers think different things about different.
Well, that's true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
I shouldn't. It's always
Maybe none of us will like Mario, and then Ryan, who's the reviewer, will be wrong.
Well, he is a giant Nintendo fanboy.
No, we always back up our fellow reviewers and their scores because it's their opinion, and that's what they do. That's their job.
Yeah.
Well, the 10 in particular is actually Dan does a really good job of making everyone justify their score. If you want to give a game a 7, he says, look, your review text is skewing a little negative. Like, if you really do feel like it's a 7, it's a good game, you need to reflect that.
You have to support that. Yeah.
Yeah.
In your text.
And,
This time he interviewed Miranda, who's been playing a lot, and Brendan, who's been playing a lot, and then a couple of our UK people.
So in the case of a 10 specifically, it goes through a little bit more rigorous, like
A small
check.
console. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm totally excited to dive into that this weekend, finally.
And then you can play it while watching Stranger Things because there's no other way. We're gonna be able to watch Stranger Things.
I don't recommend that.
Well, it's gonna suck, but that's the only way to do it.
What about, can I play it in the
I'm not gonna put it down.
Can I play it in the theater while I'm watching Jigsaw?
Are you actually going to see Jigsaw?
Switch? Yeah, I'm probably gonna get liquored up and
I've
go
never
see Jigsaw.
seen. I've never seen any Saw movie.
Oh, I've seen all the Saw movies. Also, we have a video for you. Wait, you've narrated the video.
Yeah, I've narrated. I know everything happens. Yeah, but I've never seen any of the gags, and I've never seen like the gore.
So you've never seen the movies, but you narrated the like 7-minute untangling.
Yeah.
So what happens? What happens in those movies?
It's
incomprehensible. A guy gets a brain tumor, and he's really upset about it, and so he starts locking up people that he resents in death traps and gives them a chance to escape. But then there's a copycat killer who tries to copy him, but his death traps aren't fair according to the original death trap setter. So he kidnaps that guy, but instead of killing him, he takes him on and makes him his apprentice. Yeah. And it spirals on from there.
It's really good. A couple of the movies take place during each other, and some movies are prequels. And
Jig Scoop.
I think I stopped after Saw 2. I didn't know any of that.
They keep going, dude. This one is supposedly the final chapter.
No, the last one was the final chapter. This is like the reboot.
This is like
Saw's back. They took.
This is like a prequel, right?
I don't know.
Maybe it's a pre-sequel.
Nobody knows.
Yeah. Anyway,
when you update this feature,
yeah,
after seeing the movie,
yeah,
you'll
for
know.
sure. Excited for Super Mario Odyssey this weekend. I don't know. One feature in the game that was a nice little surprise for me, I don't know if it's known, is that there's a photo mode and then there's different filters you can put over everything. And there's even a retro Game Boy and Super Nintendo filter.
There's a Game Boy filter.
That's so cool.
That you can put in.
And it looks pretty neat.
Yeah,
it looks got that greenish mucus look.
Yeah, I know. I would like to attempt actually playing the game that way. It might hurt my eyes, but I would like to try that.
I mean, is it accessible outside of the photo mode?
I probably
Is there
not,
a Virtual Boy?
Unless they, maybe they would release a patch at some point that allows you to do that. Uncharted 4 had that, like
all the different tones
and like
16-bit or pixelated mode.
This is something that got me excited. That is, I'm not going to make it spoilery, but there's more than we thought there would be in the game. There's more places to go, and there's more things to collect. And leaving it that vague is, I think, important for people like me because I was a little bit worried when they were like saying like, here's the places you can go. And, I'm excited that there's so much more to do.
You play a lot of that game before you get to New Donk City. Like it's a big game.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I thought that would be like super beginning level. Huh, cool.
So 3 big games all out on the same day: Mario, Assassin's Creed, Wolfenstein, and for months now we've been like, how are we gonna? I want to play all these games. They all look great. How are we gonna divide our time? Well, last night I started Assassin's Creed Origins. I played 4 or 5 hours of that, and after that amount of time with the game, it becomes starkly clear to me that I can wait to play Assassin's Creed.
Oh, I think you're tripping, dude.
I mean, tell me.
I'm 25 hours into it, and I'm obsessed.
I understand.
How were your first 5 hours?
Yeah, I understand. It's supposed to be like a gigantic game. I hope it gets better, but the beginning of that game did not grab me.
Yeah. It takes for me until once you get to Alexandria and you spoilers, you reunite with your wife.
Sure.
And that's when the game really opens up and starts becoming like the actual RPG that it is.
Yeah.
That's when you start getting an insane amount of side quests. The world is populated with so much stuff to do. You start getting multiple assassinations to where you can sort of choose where you want to go. The character interactions between Bayek and his wife are really good. That's when some of the cool, without going into spoilers, sci-fi meta stuff of the game, like the just the overall Assassin's Creed plot starts coming out.
Yeah.
You get your Leonardo da Vinci supplied upgrades.
No, that's like Ptolemy and Caesar and all sorts of weirdos. Yeah.
The Kaiser's in it?
The Kaiser himself, the inventor of the salad.
I heard it's more open worldy and RPG like Western RPG like than before. Are you noticing that early on?
I think so.
Are you
Yeah,
noticing
definitely. It feels
They
sort of
reinvented
like
that game as like an RPG, for better or worse. I think it's interesting and brave of them to do that.
But what does that mean to you guys? Like, I don't. What's the actual difference? Is it mission structure?
There's your main missions and then there's side quests.
Yeah, and it's that.
But the original game had all that. So like, what feels different? Is what I'm trying to get at.
I think that there's just a wealth of activities to do in order to earn experience, and experience is really important because leveling up actually matters.
I mean, I don't think the other games had experience points.
So
No, I mean they had like
a
certain amount of skill points in Syndicate would allow you to level up, but that didn't really mean anything. Whereas this, like, I'm choosing if I want to upgrade my health or my melee, and I'm choosing which skill tree do I want to be a warrior, do I want to go towards archery, do I want to be like a trickster?
Yeah, when you scout areas with your eagle, it'll identify enemies for you, and every enemy has a number above their head that represents their level.
Okay.
Just like
so
RPG
to recap,
elements like
you
that.
think it's Assassin's Creed Borigins, and you say Assassin's Creed Morigins.
No, I guess like I was really excited for this game. I love Black Flag. That was my favorite Assassin's Creed game. But just the beginning of this game didn't hook me as much as I was expecting it to.
Which I think is a lot. I think in a lot of RPGs, I feel that way, where it took me a while for like Persona to hook me, or it took me a while. A lot of people say that with Witcher, and then finally when it does, it sinks its claws into you.
Yeah.
But I totally get, like, this is you only have a finite amount of time, and there's so much to do this weekend. So I totally get if you're like, well, I'm not having an amazing time with this game, so move over.
And there's also a new Mario game.
Move over to Mario, or move over to Wolfenstein, or
yeah.
watch Stranger Things.
Yeah.
There's been an embarrassment of riches all year long, and especially this fall. But this is the first week that I like have anxiety about. Like, I don't know how. Like, this is the first time all year I felt like overwhelmed.
I haven't finished South Park, and I barely touched Evil Within, which I love so far.
Yep, I'm like I'm only like 10 hours into South Park. Only. I mean, I'm like halfway through that game.
Yeah. Machi.
Marty, did you like the combat in Assassin's Creed?
It's growing on me, and
It was awkward to me at first.
it's definitely
It's
awkward.
like,
especially, did you play Shadow of War?
Oh yeah.
Buttons are all different.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I get into combat and I immediately start hitting square to attack, and I just start dodging. and I'm like,
it's dodge.
a
I'm like,
burst
it's
from
dodge.
it's the
in
shoulder.
Assassin's Creed.
Our shoulder buttons are attack. And I'm
It's
like,
so
oh,
weird.
no.
You block
Did you guys
with.
try to remap it?
I thought about doing that today. I
That's
should
so
look
lame,
into
though,
that.
yeah.
But yeah, you block with L1 and attack with R1, but then you build up a powerful attack where you have to pull R1 and R2 at the
triggers at the
same
same time
time,
to do your
like
tantrums.
two on that
Yeah.
side, and like very few games actually ask you to
Called
do
tantrums?
I call them tantrums because I'm using a big purple warhammer, and when I do my tantrums, he starts pounding the ground with it.
Now, Alana did a live stream with you, right?
Yes.
And to which she said you play that game like butt.
Yeah, she was not a fan of how I play the game. She plays it like
But she says
sword
it's-
and board and
countering, right?
She parries and counters.
Parries and counters,
And
yeah.
all I do is I have a poison purple hammer that boosts
Poison
my
purple
tantrums.
hammer.
Yeah.
And so I just run into battle, even
So
if I get.
you just work towards the tantrums.
Oh yeah, and then and the whole thing with my hammer is with every successful hit, my tantrums like get more powerful, and so I run up to like a hippo or like a bunch of
Tantrum mode.
cheetahs.
Marty's
I just-
Purple Hammer.
yeah,
it's my
it's
favorite Beatles
wonderful.
song. Maxwell Silver Hammer was a Beatles song, right?
That is a Beatles song.
I was like, huh.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And Sam, last night you started Wolfenstein 2.
Wolfenstein. And you were going to.
I'm going to tonight, Dan. I
right.
shamed Dan into giving.
Then I will give you my full report. The Nazis are back. And they're worse than ever.
Oh no.
That's it. They can put that back in the box.
Yeah. So this game, I really like the first Wolfenstein. Surprisingly, I know we don't need to go back into that, but it's good for like this cast of characters and story, which is kind of surprising. This has all that so far. I'm like 3 hours in, maybe 4 hours in, and what I noticed immediately is that there's a Bethesda feel to it. It kind of looks like this. It looks a little bit like Fallout because the universe is this kind of future that you don't expect, taken to like an nth degree. You know, it's like Nazi technology in the 60s. And I think Fallout did that with like retro future. Yeah,
Well, yeah,
it's
and there's still
that.
does it have any like American? I mean, yeah, it has Americana in it, right? Like that's, I mean, the whole marketing thing with milkshakes and everything.
In America,
Yeah,
you start out in other places, and so I really like that. And the Nazi tech is like super cool, and I feel guilty saying that. And they have amazing scientists over
But they
there.
made it look cool.
I don't know how, but man, they made the Bethesda team made their like future evil technology look really cool. So I like that about it. The other notable thing is that it's by far the most violent game I've played this year, and not in a way. It's like a God of War type way where there's uncomfortable moments because you're so up close in the violence, and it's like personalized violence. It's not just like running around shooting Nazis. Like that's a shooter. I understand that, but this has big, lengthy like torture cut scenes and stuff like that, right? So I did, and then like a big surgery scene that's really awful. There's a scene that, but every one of those, what's interesting is that you always have camera control, but like you're being held down or you're strapped down or something, so you can turn away from it.
You can choose
I
not
totally
to watch
did.
it.
I mean, see, like a equivalent of like
I thought
closing
that
your
was
eyes.
a really neat
That's
idea.
this is a clever way to handle that. Right?
Does it take 3 hours for the title screen to pop up?
There's I haven't even it's longer.
Or there is
Or there
no
is
title
title
screen, which some games have.
Yeah.
I played this whole game and the title screen never popped up.
Not till the credits.
Yeah, but I also have been playing it in a way where I think it's really cool that another Bethesda influence is that there's a little bit of Dishonored going on here, and that you have the option to sneak around. Mm-hmm. It's not like an amazing stealth system. You just crouch and sneak around, stay out of enemy sights, right? But the levels are built with tons of little interconnecting, like crawlways and tubes and stuff like that. And the point is that if you get to these generals first and kill them, then the rest of the level is really easy. So you want to like do these like stealthy times and then just pop out of everywhere, just be like, bah! So it's really funny.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm excited.
But nobody's going to play that game.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because we actually got an email from.
Wait a little while.
We got an email from Vito in Fort Lauderdale. Hey, Vito. He wrote us and said, "Well, 2017 has been an amazing year for game releases, and October has been great so far with Evil Within 2, Shadow of War, and South Park. Now, on October 27th, we have 3 major titles coming out: Mario Odyssey, Wolfenstein 2, Assassin's Creed Origins. What is the rationale of releasing 3 titles like this all on the same day? Which game do you think will suffer the most from this crowded release date?" And Sam, you think it's Wolfenstein?
Well, we thought for sure. I mean, not for sure. We speculated months ago when this first date became apparent that somebody would move, right? And nobody did.
Yeah.
And besides,
what always
go
ahead.
That's it. I'm just surprised Bethesda didn't move a week or two.
I just always think like people with Switches can only play Mario, right? So and a bunch of people have access to Assassin's Creed because it's on all the systems, but also Wolfenstein. So then I think the decision for a lot of people is between Assassin's Creed and Wolfenstein, and I'm pretty sure Assassin's Creed is just the more popular series.
Yeah,
that's the only reason we're saying that.
Really,
it's not like a quality thing.
I feel like taking a year off helped sort of the general perception of the series, and I feel like it's just had a really good run of previews of like positive coverage. And Egypt looks cool. We don't really have a lot of Egypt
like
games.
A totally good.
I mean, Egypt is such a more immediately visually appealing setting than Victorian London or France during the Revolution.
I mean, it's the thing people have been asking for
that
and like feudal Japan.
Yeah, exactly. I think sadly it's gonna be Wolfenstein. I think like you look at. Are we gonna talk about MPD later?
Yeah.
Okay. But you look at like Nintendo has found magic with the Switch where the attach rate is insane, and it's even insane on games.
You should explain what attach rate.
Attach rate is just the number of
for every system
sold, there's X amount of games, and so pretty much any major game that comes, it seems like an overwhelming majority of the people who own a Switch will buy that game. Like there's it's like brand loyalty, and we've seen that in smaller games like Splatoon and Rabbids, and so I can't imagine how successful that's going to be with a Mario game that is seemingly one of the best in a long time.
Like when the attach rate for Zelda was like more than one per.
It was like, what's happening here?
Yeah, so to go into that a little bit, there's a little bit of a ratio. So if you have an attach rate of like 72%. Then it's like 72% of Switch owners bought this game.
Yeah.
But it was over 100%.
Yeah, it was like 104% or something.
Or people bought like collector's editions or...
And it's still unclear to me if the Wii U had something to do with that.
Yeah. Do you think like the outlook for Mario, knowing that like ARMS sold 1 million copies and Splatoon 2 sold multiple millions of copies, the outlook for Mario couldn't possibly be any higher from a sales standpoint.
Yeah.
Aren't you guys excited that like we don't have to worry about the hard copies of that game not being in stores? Like there was a time where like you couldn't get a system, but sometimes you couldn't get a AAA game until it was out for a few weeks. Like that's scary. Like Zelda 2 in the 80s was famous for that. Nobody could get it in stores, and it was out for 3 months.
Really I want to give before we move on, I want to give a special shout out to my boy Destiny 2 on the PC.
Your boy.
That's why I haven't.
I thought you were literally going to say my boy Destiny.
Hold on, we were going to talk about Destiny 2.
Oh, that's why I haven't waited more. Like that's what I'm playing.
Oh, that's your playing. Okay.
Like I waited for the PC release. I was secretly a big Destiny guy. I put dozens and dozens of hours into that game, and usually
that just makes you a noob.
I mean, just like I didn't bring it. I played it pretty casually. Like I didn't really do the raids or much like that. I would, level up until there was nothing left to do, then put the game down. And I really, really liked it. And like Destiny 2, like.
So you actually got it. I saw you were tweeting you were having trouble getting into the game last night.
Yeah, and then I followed up. I was a little snarky last night. I did get into the game.
That's what Twitter's for.
Wait, you were literally getting in, or like getting attached to it?
Huh?
You were having trouble literally launching the game?
Logging into the game.
Yeah, I just did the Greg Miller like PC gaming, am I right thing?
But there was a universal.
There were actual problems.
Yeah, I eventually.
Did you get banned?
No.
Did you hear about that?
I did. Yeah,
that's really bad.
Yeah, mass banning.
Let me walk this back.
Okay.
I started Destiny 2 on PC, and I like it a lot so far.
I'm excited. I'm excited for you to finish
all I'm
it.
trying to say.
And you were a Halo fan.
Yeah, big Bungie fan, big Destiny fan.
The campaign is really good. It feels shooting that game feels so good.
Yep. Destiny 1, I have never seen a bigger mismatch between gameplay and storytelling. Like really excellent, incredible, nigh perfect gameplay, and just completely let down from a storytelling standpoint. And
It's so much better.
And to see Destiny 2 just them recognize that and rectify that is really satisfying. So
Yeah.
Did you get to the title screen? It's a really emotional moment when you get to the title screen. Yeah.
that's where
That's a really top 10 title screen moments.
Ooh.
You guys got to stop
Saying those on the air.
brainstorming great ideas.
During shows.
When you two features guys get on the show.
The thing is, we brainstorm an idea and then we forget 45 minutes later. So.
The feature boys, that's my secret is I'm always brainstorming.
Yeah.
No, I played a bunch of Destiny 2 on PS4 all by myself and was enjoying it quite a bit, considerably more than the first game. And yeah, the villain is really cool and all that. However, I had a moment last night, of course, when I had to install Assassin's Creed Origins. I had to decide what to delete, and I thought about Destiny 2 just because I know, like, I've played a good chunk of it, but now I've got these other games I want to play. Realistically, when am I going to get back to Destiny 2? But I went with Last of Us instead.
Yeah.
I deleted The Witcher last night.
It's such a painful, like, it's so like letting go. Like the thing is, like, your heart knows you're done with the game before your brain.
Yeah.
It's actually vice versa. Like your brain knows you're done before your heart's willing to like let go of
Yeah.
it. Like I finally deleted. I played like 4 or 5 hours of Far Cry 4 and just never, never got back.
Probably
to it.
delete
game.
Far Cry 4.
Well, I've just been holding on to it. I'm like, I'll get back to it. Then finally, I'm like, you know what? No, it's probably not going to happen at this point.
7 stages of grief.
I keep my
Except that you
anthologies.
you could just bring your loved one back with
I know,
a
it's
click
like-
of a button. And
We're
an hour.
acting like this is much more severe than it actually is. Yes, of course we can re-download the
Acceptance,
game.
but also knowing that I can just have it back in an hour.
But yeah.
There's definitely a certain amount of shame of deleting a game that you feel guilty for not playing more.
Yeah, there's that part too. But it is also totally stupid that just the reality of playing a new game on PS4 means I have to decide something old to delete. That's really dumb.
Did you guys hear that the Mario size, the file size, is 5 gigabytes?
What kind of wizardry is Nintendo doing?
That's crazy.
It's because of a couple things, but it's mainly textures, which Switch has lower textures, but it's still that game looks fine.
Still 720p.
Don't worry about it. And then, but it has no voice acting and has no FMV cutscenes.
How big are the wahoos?
So yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's all it takes, right?
Those are just middies.
But those are the things that
they're
are
all
needed.
they're all folied.
So like the Shadow of War, file size is so much bigger.
Yeah.
Well,
That's the whole
the
thing
Shadow
about
of
4K,
War
too.
has got to be
Yeah.
like the
Talk
audio.
about Shadow of War. Ooh,
Well,
I
yeah.
only played like 5 or 6 hours of that.
No, I was going to bring that up before we moved on. But I also wanted to say, with Super Mario Odyssey, I think I'll just download that on Friday. I did not pre-order from Amazon this time. Learned my lesson there.
Oh yeah, I'm totally downloading it.
Yeah.
But you'll have room with. I tested it. If you have Zelda still on it, Mario Kart. I had, I think, like Stardew and Oxenfree.
You have Rabbids?
I had
Mario
Mario
Rabbids?
Rabbids.
Yeah.
And I still had room for Zelda.
I still haven't touched Rabbids.
Or I mean, for Mario. It's
really good.
Yeah, I know. I need to play it.
Rabbids
It's really
is
good.
super good.
Too many
Going
games.
digital only on the Switch is the best decision I've made.
But I need to get a bigger car.
You have 2 children. Weren't those good decisions?
Well, the going digital only on the Switch is better than the
Better
decision.
than it's a
that-
decision. They're still good.
Incredible.
That's fine. They don't watch the show.
More on the positive.
And up until last night when I started Assassin's Creed, I was still playing a lot of Shadow of War, which I still like a lot. And I know, Sam, you actually beat
I
it
beat
over
it.
the weekend.
It
There you
was so long. That game goes on and,
And
on
you
and on and on.
And you just didn't do any of the like collecting stuff. You just
Yeah, I
like
did
plowed
nothing.
through the story.
Went right
Like,
through.
I've been doing all the like extra ancillary stuff
Yep.
too.
I made.
I think that game is really fun.
I loved it. Douche the Maniac. Congratulations, you are now the leader.
Did you
of
see
one of
the
castles.
2 big DLC drops that
Yeah,
are going to happen?
so that's it,
Where he
yeah.
plays the
I
elven
didn't read
girl.
that story. What is it?
Well, one of them is you play as what's her name?
Elven Ranger
Laura-
girl.
Laura Bailey. Yeah, and then the other one is you play as the dude, like the
The Minnesithal guy.
yeah, the Minas Ithil.
The guy that you that you rescued
Yeah,
at one point.
and it seems like
Seems great.
It seems like that second one, especially, like it has you building an army of humans, which seems interesting.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That's so clever.
Yeah, so-
All right.
Yep.
What do you think their taunts will be like?
It's finally all happening.
What if they're all just like really polite? Like, oh, excuse me. Like, I'm sorry, I have to kill you, but
They'll
It's
there's
totally
more.
be those. Yeah.
It's so funny seeing that game take. Maybe it's not a hard right. Maybe we should have seen it coming, but it turned into this different thing than people expected. Where like now it's like army versus army with you in the middle of it, almost like Dynasty Warriors style.
Yeah.
That's what the end game was
Yeah.
totally all about.
Yeah.
It's like you're in the middle of this giant battle, and I would just hop in,
Yeah.
convert a green. Like they turn green when you can convert them to your team.
Like,
I'd hop in and turn them to my side, then hop
And
out.
hop out, yeah.
Just be like, all right.
I'll let you guys deal with this. Yeah.
It was great. It felt so good, and I amassed this army that way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, some of this extra content is it's planned up until like May of 2018.
Yeah,
like 6 months out.
When I saw that article, I was too scared to read it. I just come.
You don't want to go
probably
back?
Like it was
You
like
have PTSD.
40 hours
That's
or
a lot.
something. Like that's a lot of games.
I have a gameplay help question for you.
Yeah.
When you're going to try and siege a fortress, if the orc captains at that fortress are a lot higher level than you are, should you wait? Should I wait and level up and come back, or should I just try to?
Dan and I were of two opinions, and I think I'm right.
Okay.
So you can do what you do is you look at the castle in your orc menu.
Yeah.
And then he has those
Castle level is like 250 or something.
well, he has those underlings.
Yeah.
There's a mission for each of those.
Oh, okay. So you can take them out.
Yeah, you can take them out. It makes it really easy
There you
to
go.
just, and even if they're high level, and then they're your high level orcs.
Yeah,
It
okay.
solves those problems. That's my solution. Dan says you should just go for it because it doesn't matter. And he said he got away with some pretty big disparities when you're sieging. But if you're defending, the disparities, you can get knocked out of your castle pretty fast.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. Okay, moving on. Today we got a release date for Metal Gear Survive.
Is it this year?
It's not this year.
Okay.
Coming early next year, February 20th for Metal Gear Survive. Metal Gear Survive is the first post-Kojima Metal Gear game for Konami, and it's a very different Metal Gear game, a 4-player cooperative zombie survival experience.
I mean, maybe that game's going to be terrible, but I feel like it's getting such a, just as you said, the first post-Kojima Metal Gear game, and it's not, a stealth espionage action game. It's, a very different thing. So, like, everyone's just so poised, just the market conditions makes everyone so poised to hate on it that, like, in the back of my head, I'm like, that game could totally turn out decent.
February's a good time
for
it to come out, because if it is a pleasant surprise, people will be like, oh, I'll play it.
You know what, though? It's a week exactly before Far Cry 5.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So,
Yeah.
Far Cry's a really big series, so it only has a week to really
They like that. They like
spotlight.
that January, February, March.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, Justin. I don't know who this game is for, who the audience is for this game, who's looking forward to this game. I don't know.
Morbid curiosity for it.
Well, yeah, I have morbid curiosity. But it seems almost like what's like Operation Raccoon City.
It definitely has vibes of
like
Ooh,
the
I
spin-off.
don't like that.
The spin-off that nobody was asking for.
Yeah.
But we'll see. So that actually reminds me, it should be a good time to check in on the big games that are coming in early 2018 that we know of that have release dates so far.
Games.
I was just about to say, hey, big games.
Oh, that's really good, guys.
I was going to say the whole thing, and I'm like, oh, he keeps talking. There's so many things to say.
What do you guys think? What's the first big game of 2018 that has a release date?
I saw the sheet.
Okay, so you
Ni no Kuni?
Ni no Kuni 2.
Good
job.
I had a brainstorm meeting the other day.
Yeah.
You didn't show up. Thanks, man.
I didn't either.
Ni no Kuni 2
It was
is
fine to not
was
go.
fine. It was
Now
great.
we're on the show and you're calling me out.
I like this new segment. What meetings did you
Across the
miss?
table.
What meetings did I skip?
Ni no Kuni 2 is January 19th, then January 26th. The Day of Kings, Monster Hunter World is out, as well as Dragon Ball FighterZ.
Excited for that Dragon Ball.
Is it Fighter Z?
No, it's Fighters.
It's FighterZ.
Oh, I don't like that.
Well, that's what it is.
Is it or fight? I don't know.
A game
Well, there's no
that
space.
I have never watched Dragon Ball. I know nothing about it, but even I know that game looks awesome. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
January 30th is Dissidia Final Fantasy NT,
What's that?
the Final Fantasy fighting game.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
I play that in arcades in Japan, and it has a very long tutorial, not in my native tongue, and it was the most incomprehensible game
After
I've
you
ever
put your
played.
yen in,
Oh, yeah.
A long tutorial in the arcade?
Yeah, and it was Andrew and I
the
were
person
playing.
behind you is just like,
Andrew and I were playing NBA. I was like, I don't understand any of this. Also, apparently Japanese arcade games just have very long tutorials, because Zach and I wanted to play. There's a Luigi's Mansion game where you
Yeah.
have like an actual gun,
Oh, weird.
but again, a very long tutorial. And I'm like, there's one button on this
What
thing, and
could
I'm
they
assuming I
possibly
just
have to
point
tell
and
you?
suck.
All right. February 13th is Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Wow.
This is
wait,
the
long time
that's
coming.
the realistic medieval RPG.
I'm excited for that. game.
Don't call it Skyrim.
Oh, well, it's not Skyrim.
I know.
It's ground.
It's Skyrim without dragons
Or magic.
or magic or any giants.
And it smells really bad.
Or Argonians.
Probably a lot of
Yeah.
diseases.
Yep.
This
Yeah.
place back in Game of Thrones time.
Game looks absolutely gorgeous. Hopefully, I mean, maybe we'll see how it turns out, but I think it's going to be a Kickstarter success story.
Yeah.
The game's origin was crowdfunded, and then they just keep everything they've shown off. Just looks
Yeah.
Is that coming to
better and
consoles,
better.
or is that for?
Yeah,
stupid
it is,
kids?
but I don't know if it's coming.
Probably
to
not at
consoles day
launch.
one.
Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned Kickstarter. I read an article the other day that a study that found that the amount of games that fail like greatly outweigh the games that reach their goal. It's like
And we just don't hear about
It's
them?
more like it's like a factor of 2. It's
Yeah.
like
What a shame.
twice as many games fail
Even
as
from like
end up
big
being
devs,
funded.
like we had Swery's game, the Good Life. The one.
Oh,
that's
do you mean games that aren't funded?
that aren't funded. Yeah,
Oh, not games
that
that
never
like,
reach their
nothing
goal.
quality.
not games that like eat your money.
No, yeah, just games that never even reach their
Don't
goal.
reach their 2-1. They don't reach their funding goal.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. February 15th is
That was big though.
Secret of Mana. This is the remake, right? Remind me what this
Yeah,
is. They
it's
announced
it looks like
it's a full 3D.
full 3D, but
remake.
it looks like chibi. Like it almost
Yeah.
looks like the Final Fantasy.
Crystal Chronicles.
Or like the 3 remake for game
Yeah,
for
game
DS.
for DS. Yeah.
yeah.
I hated that style. I hope Secret of Mana looks better than that.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
No one's asking for that low poly chibi. art
Also,
style.
just
Now
released,
Square's super into it.
just released the
Just
Super
put
Nintendo version.
Secret of
on-
Mana on Switch.
the pixel art is so
Cave
much
Story
better.
had that too.
Yeah,
And Cave Story is one
Cave
of the best
Story did
looking
a
games.
bad 3D.
yeah.
That's
Like
style.
Secret of Mana's on the SNES Classic, which is great. But like, I would love it on Switch.
Yeah.
Like, I would play it on the go. And also, Japan got the Suikoden Setsu trilogy.
Mhm.
Which we should
Yeah.
Legends of Mana, Secret of Mana.
Well, it's Mana 1, 2, and 3.
And
That's what they
the
call
3
it. Right?
never came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and 3 is on Super Nintendo, and it's a super cool multiplayer, beautiful 16-bit game that would also be ruined with a polygon texture.
February 20th is Metal Gear Survive. 27th is Far Cry 5. And then we know of 2 games in March. March 16th is The Crew 2. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And March 20th is Yakuza 6.
There are
like there are-
many Yakuza
I want to be in a train crew.
I feel like there's at least 2 Yakuza games that release every year.
Yeah, 'cause
Well, there are
is-
now. I mean, it's so interesting that people were howling about these games not being localized
Yeah.
or like that felt like a franchise on the ropes, and now I guess they must be selling well enough for Sega to have, kind of taken it a little bit more seriously. But now suddenly, what? So there was 1 through 5, and then the remake of 1, and then 0, and then there's a remake of 2.
Kauai. Is that what the remakes are called?
I-
Kauai. There's a word. Yakuza.
Yeah, it's something.
Something like Kauai, but it's not Kauai.
Yeah, if you just Google that, it'll turn up. It's fine. It's journalism.
Yeah, the Yakuza series, man. It's big now.
I've never been into them. Max loves them.
Yeah.
They're more like goofier open world games.
Sort of like
Like Saints Row?
self-aware Shenmue.
Yeah.
And they're secretly like they're not kind of that open world. Like the world is.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm
It's
really
dense as hell, though.
I'm really fascinated by really dense, smaller open spaces. Like
Yeah.
Persona has that same vibe.
yeah.
Mario.
Mario.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's the opposite of Zelda.
There are, of course, other big games coming early next year that don't have release dates yet. God of War, we're expecting
Yeah.
to have. Red Dead Redemption 2 is supposed to be spring.
Sea of
Spider-Man.
Thieves, Spider-Man.
You expect Spider-Man like early 2018?
I guess I was just thinking next year.
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't expect God of War early 2018 either.
I think they'll split God.
That's
of
what
War
they
aside.
said at
I don't know.
E3.
I mean, my thing
maybe
is-
it's not the case anymore, but
That's
it's
hard.
said,
Yeah,
It's
I
hard
mean,
with
we don't
games
know.
like that.
'cause
Said early
Sony
2018.
has so many games with those two and Detroit and Shadow of Colossus. Like something will be coming in the first half of the year.
It's worth. I mean, Spider-Man
point.
is the third-party game, and God of War is first-party. I know that one's an exclusive. They're both exclusive, but
Well, technically, it's published by Sony, so it's first party. I mean, but
Insomniac's.
Insomniac's developing it.
And they
So
work
it's-
on the games that are not only Sony. Right?
It's Sunset Overdrive.
But speaking of those Sony games, we might learn something more this coming Monday.
Oh yes, we
Early
might.
Monday morning.
Yeah.
Sony is hosting a press conference at Paris Games Week, and we will be covering that conference here at IGN. Marty and Alana and I will be up early Monday morning. It's 8 a.m. Pacific time when it
Yeah.
starts.
Well, we'll be
So
starting our
sorry.
pre-show.
Our pre-show starts at 7:30 a.m. Pacific time.
Machi.
Monday morning.
Yeah.
We'll set the stage for you. We'll all watch the conference together, and then afterwards, our post-show will break down all the big announcements. We are expecting some big announcements next Monday
Sure. Between that and PSX,
from Sony.
Yeah.
there's 2 Sony press conferences before
Yeah.
the end of the year.
No,
Yeah.
there
We've
aren't.
heard they're going-
Sam.
yeah.
There is only one.
Oh, okay.
We've heard they're going pretty big on Paris. So yeah.
Doubling down on Paris Games
Paris
Week. this
Games
year.
Week being timed so late in the fall is always an interesting show because that show really lives or dies based off of is the timing right for a company like Sony or Ubisoft to really have a lot to talk about. In some years it's gigantic if they do have a lot to talk about to set up the following year, and then sometimes it's like a dark year for them and they don't. So
Yeah, that's true. All right, moving on. Revisiting the topic from last week, EA shut down Visceral Games, which was working on a single-player linear Star Wars game, and now EA is sort of pivoting that recalibrating it into what they describe as an experience that will keep players coming back for a long time, which we interpret to mean a Destiny-like game as service. And GamesIndustry.biz talked to an ex-Visceral dev who had some interesting things to say. This is someone who served as a senior level designer and worked on Battlefield Hardline, although he was no longer at Visceral when Visceral was shut down. But he still had some interesting insights. First of all, he said the assertion that single-player linear games are going to disappear is totally absurd, which is true. You know, we pointed out last week how many great single-player experiences there are just this year.
Also on October 27th, how many there are.
Exactly. But he does say EA might not be the company that carries that torch, but there are so many groups out there that are passionate about this kind of game that they won't go away. But that seems very telling to me that, you know, this particular dev does not seem to expect single-player linear experiences from
EA has Star Wars. They have the Star Wars license. That's the
I know. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So EA doesn't want to make them, but so who's going to make our single-player Star Wars game? Yeah.
Too bad.
He says, personally, I'd like to see fewer games with higher quality across the board, which is probably what will happen. So I don't know about that. Fewer games from EA or fewer games from the industry?
Yeah, I don't know. We're definitely getting more games.
This part was interesting to me. He said, we're also going to continue to see developments in production pipelines that will dramatically reduce the cost of asset generation, which will benefit everyone. And why mention that? What does that have to do with?
We know, I mean, EA moves all their games to Frostbite, and there's some bellyaching about why do they want every single game on one engine, and they do that for this asset sharing reason. They're on record. They talked to me about this at E3 maybe 2 years ago. If they build a helicopter once, they can deploy that across any game. Like there's not going to be, you know, one team in Vancouver building a helicopter for the military game and another team, you know, in Tiburon building a helicopter for their Madden game. I don't know why.
I was about to say Star Wars. Don't put a helicopter in Star Wars. That'd be weird.
Yeah. So it gets weird when you're talking about something like Star Wars, but even like desert textures, like stuff like
explosion,
that. Yeah, like particle effects for fire. Like they don't want to have, you know, just 10,000 developers spread all around the world replicating something that someone else has already solved.
Yeah, sure.
So they're moving all their games to one engine to you know, share assets whenever they can.
Yeah, and EA isn't the only one that does that. Like, you know, we saw Kojima's using the Decima engine for Death Stranding, which is what also Horizon's built on, but also Sony has this internal thing called ICE, which is pretty much shared tech between all Sony first-party studios that, like, if it might be less like, here's a rock, and more of like, here's an insane algorithm for how to make dynamic fire. And then any team can use that or draw a tree. Yeah.
And I should say that, the last point I want to make about this, because I saw it in the comments, was like, won't that make every game feel the same? And the answer is that they use those assets as like a starting off point. Like, it's not like each game is going to have 5 identical helicopters. They can take that and then, you know, tweak it for, you know, 3 days to customize it and work in their setting in their game, instead of building it from scratch, which would take, you know, 3 weeks.
Yeah. I just wonder how this is relevant to the Visceral situation. Like, was there a bottleneck problem? Like, was it with the asset production
like they wanted it to look
system?
really unique or something?
Or I don't know. Was this one of the problems with the game?
Maybe Star Wars didn't fit into that workflow. Like, everything did have to be built from scratch.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe they just want to use a bunch of Battlefront stuff in everything they do.
Maybe. And then he does have some good quotes about his time at Visceral and working on Dead Space. He says, I have a lot of really good friends there that were spectacularly talented, and Dead Space 2 is one of my all-time favorite games. We'll always have Dead Space 2, but there was a lightning in a bottle there that will never be recaptured. It's the same with a lot of the greatest games. They're just a moment in time where the stars aligned and everything came together. Yeah, we talked about last week how a lot of the key members that worked on Dead Space and Dead Space 2 are no longer at Visceral, right? Yeah. Moving on to places like Sledgehammer.
It's like Paul's Boutique, right? It's like the Beastie Boys have this great album that they worked with some great DJs on.
There's no way that album could be made today.
Yeah, it can't be made today. And then like the particular parties involved and what they were listening to is all sampled in a really interesting way, and like, it's just never going to happen again.
Yeah,
game development just seems AAA game development seems impossibly hard, and I think it's a miracle that these games ever come out.
Seriously,
just thousands of people across so many different disciplines, and to set a vision years in advance and have it all come together. Like, oftentimes games aren't even playable until, you know, near the end. It's unbelievable.
Hopefully that's getting better with development. Like sharing assets is one thing, but also just like tools to make games getting easier. Like the games have to get easier to make. Like they're so hard. When the Shadow of War credits.
How are they really
They're
long?
unbelievable. They're unbelievable. They go on for 20 minutes. And you can, I found out you can fast forward, but I didn't want to. I always respect the
I try
credits
to watch.
And
the
like
credits.
on a serious note, there's 3 obituaries during the credits.
That's insane.
That's how long that game was developed more. That's how many people it touched. You know, they had nothing in common with each other, but it's like there's people lives, so many people lives. Yeah, then that too.
Several.
That's always listed also, right? And pets and stuff like that. But yeah, it's like just shows you like, man, there's like a worldwide effort to make these huge games. I don't think that's very sustainable, honestly. And you see people losing their jobs at a studio and going to another studio so much.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, then I get on GameScoop and I'm like, nah, I don't like the way Italian feels. And then we move on to the next game. It's like, well,
But we all love game developers and respect them because they do amazing things.
Yeah.
And like we criticize the art and not the artist.
Dead Space is a beloved horror series. I think people would love to see more of that someday. But final thoughts from this ex-Visceral developer is that horror games in general are expensive to make and hard to sell. People would give us the feedback that they love Dead Space but don't buy it because it's too scary. Kind of works against itself. You can't sell games to a market that wants them to exist but doesn't want to buy them.
Yeah.
Pretty
It's
good.
funny how like
Pretty good.
horror movies can work just fine, but I feel like it's also like a 90-minute thing. And it's
Yeah.
like, I can go there and I could be in a crowd and you can laugh as everyone's scared and then walk out. Whereas like Evil Within is like this is 20 hours and we're gonna mess with your brain.
There's also the interactivity.
I never
part
thought
of it,
about
too.
that. That's really astute. I
Well,
think that's a really neat
yeah.
difference between movies and maybe even TV shows that like you binge watch that are
Yeah,
horror.
totally.
Like that's a lot, you know.
Yeah.
TV shows about serial killers that you binge watch.
Yeah.
That's a lot to watch.
Yeah, we watched all of Mindhunter recently, which is good. It's totally worth watching. It's David Fincher. Did you finish? Have you watched it, Marty?
No.
Okay.
I'll add that to the pile of oh my god, there's so much.
Yeah.
the shame pile.
And then last week, EA said part of its thinking process for repositioning the Star Wars game is that it's been looking at market trends and talking to gamers about what will keep them coming back to play this game for a long time. And when you look at the news this week, MPD data from September that Destiny 2 is the best-selling game of the year.
Yeah.
That's that's your data right there.
Man, in 3 weeks.
Exactly.
That's wild.
It took 6 months to dethrone Ghost Recon Wildlands, which is still number 2. Still the number 2 game of the year.
I have a feeling that'll be dropping off with quite a few of the upcoming releases.
I would think so.
Call of
But
Duty,
as
Battlefront.
we said before, like it's hard for Switch to compete with that because it's one system as opposed to these cross-platform.
Zelda is in there. Zelda's in the top 10.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It is amazing.
Also in the top 10, Grand Theft Auto 5.
I hear Pokemon could be a big
Yeah, for sure.
sales too, so we'll see.
Ultra Sun and Moon.
Yeah, that comes out. There's that second biggest day of the year.
Yeah, there's
That's the
another
day
big
that,
one.
Battlefront, Pokemon, Skyrim on Switch, Justice League, and The Punisher.
And the same week is LA Noire on Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the next week is Thanksgiving, and that's when Turkey.
Turkey releases at the Davis house.
I'm sick of these annualized
Black
turkeys.
Friday.
Every year, Thanksgiving needs to take a year off.
They just cook up the same turkey every year.
Every year.
They use last year's assets.
And IGN always gives it a 9.
Everyone just keeps eating it up.
Turkey hat. Let's check in with the listeners.
Hey, listeners.
Hey, listeners.
You sounded remiss.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Listeners.
I like the listeners.
This is Robert in West Palm Beach.
Ooh,
It's our second Florida email this week.
it's happening.
I smell
Cool. I
something
hope you're
fishy.
staying high and dry.
He says, I live in Florida, but I've been following this little Japanese game, City, Shrouded in Shadow, for nearly 2 years. It's a mashup of giant monster properties, Gamera, Godzilla, Ultraman, plus the anime Evangelion, and Pat
What?
Labor.
What?
These are words I
Yeah, so I wasn't familiar with this game, but I watched the trailer, and yeah, it's like you are a human in a city that's being attacked by giant monsters, and you're trying to like survive and escape.
Is it like 2D, like a 3D, like
Yeah, like 3D.
AAA style, or
I don't know if it's AAA, but it's like, it looks good.
Okay.
He says, I'm a huge fan of all these series, and the trailer looks like the coolest thing ever. Unfortunately, it was never announced for a stateside release, and due to the complexity of property rights to those franchises outside of Japan, it likely never will.
oh, it's actually licensed.
It's
It
like really
has
Godzilla and Ultraman
Evangelion?
and Evangelion.
What?
It's crazy.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy.
What's the title again?
City Shrouded in Shadow.
Oh my God!
We'll look into
Also,
this.
someone's gonna say you're gonna put the sh under city, and it's just gonna be cusses.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep. There you go. That's the if it's bad, that's your strapline right there.
You can import any of these.
It says, my question to you is, how do you feel about importing games or downloading games via a foreign account? Should companies think about releasing Asian games with English subtitles? I personally would buy this and many other titles in a heartbeat if that were to start happening with more frequency. So first, I think importing games. I've always thought importing games is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be so much harder when we were kids.
Yeah, but like my favorite thing in video game magazines is the ads in the back of it. These like full 2-page spreads of these bizarre companies that would import games for systems like the PC Engine, MSX, and the Mega Drive, and it's like it all seems so cool, and foreign to me.
Japan was this mythical land where
They have
video
all these
games,
games there that
and then you'd be on.
we don't get.
Did you know that there's already a Mario 3
What?
that's out in
Yeah.
Japan, and then games like dozens and dozens of games. Like the idea of a game just not coming out here that we care about. That's like a AAA notable thing that we just don't get. Seems crazy. Like it just doesn't happen anymore. The world's a more global place, but that used to be how it worked. Like big stuff would not be localized.
Yeah, no, it's easier today to import stuff with the internet and sites
That's
like
a PS4 game?
yeah.
So yeah, no big deal.
Yeah, there's sites like Play Asia that are great for that sort of thing, and they'll even like they note when a game is in English or available in English.
Yeah.
Digital
was the
too.
last-
I mean, you could also create a Japanese account.
Well, that's the other part of the aspect. Yeah,
It
I don't-
couldn't be easier.
I don't think there's anything wrong with creating an account in a different territory and downloading this.
The only thing's going to be is
we do it here.
I imagine if they're not bringing it to the States, that it's not going to be localized. So you're going to have
But that's
to
I
stumble
thought
through the kanji.
It'd be really nice if Sony made it possible for fans to upload like just subtitle packages for anything, let alone an import game in any language.
fan community
because a
would take
lot of
care of
games don't get localized to a lot of languages. There's whole sections of the world that would want to play a game that probably never got localized. It's not just a Japanese America thing.
I mean, that's the
But like if fans would do this all the time,
Yeah,
they do it
I
all
mean,
the
it's the
time,
only
but
way
then
I
you
was
steal
able-
the game to do it.
the only way I've ever been able to play Mother 3 was
Yeah.
because fans, translated it.
And it's too bad because you have to play a ROM to do that.
Yeah, and I
Whereas,
would give
like,
Nintendo so much money if they just gave it
or
to
if
me.
you could just buy the actual game and then just on a thumbstick put
totally.
like a file on there that would like have some fans do the work for you. But I know licensing makes that impossible. It's a good idea.
Also, I would
happens
I'd
in
put like
movies.
the word fart somewhere in the game. Just like I'd hide fart.
You just name a character fart.
Ooh, Evangelion's name is fart.
Last game I can remember importing was Mr. Driller on the DS from Play Asia.
Interesting. Wait.
yeah.
Did they not release Mr. Driller here?
It was around the launch of the DS, and my memory's fuzzy. I don't remember what was especially notable, but there was some especially dope ass Mr. Driller game that was Japan only, and then importing was the only way to get a hold of it.
Elite Beat Agents. What's the other?
Oendan?
Yeah, Oendan. I
People-
imported both of those.
That was
too.
probably one of the most imported games ever because everybody played it.
And then there was what is that one game Jose loved? The Rhythm Heaven,
Yep,
Tengoku?
Rhythm Heaven eventually came out here,
Yeah.
but it was Rhythm Tengoku Japan only for a while.
The last game I imported was Puyo Puyo Tetris for PS4.
That's a good
And then like right after that, they announced they were releasing it here.
Damn it!
Oh, okay.
I imported Sonic Ultimate Mega Drive Collection instead of the Genesis Collection
Oh, just because there's a different.
because it came
Different
with
game.
a promotional record.
That's cool.
Yeah,
But is it the same game
Genesis
list?
music.
Is it the same game list?
It was slightly different, too,
Yeah.
which was cool.
Interesting.
And it played just fine. Just pop it into the PS3 or whatever.
Just like how the game list on the Super NES Classic and the Super Famicom
Yeah, it was
Classic.
just
Are there,
slightly
like three
different.
differences or something. Yeah.
It's always soccer games.
Kiki.
Oh, Kiki, as they call it.
This is Cody.
Hey, Cody.
Probably from Final Fight, I assume. Says, with the Wii Shop channel closing up soon, does it make you reconsider buying games physically over digitally? For instance, I've had a philosophy with the Switch to go all digital, to double down on the convenience factor, by not having to carry games with me. But considering what's happening to the Wii, this gives me pause. I know it's not a huge deal as long as I can play and experience games here and now in this generation, but looking to the future, the collector side of my brain is telling me to buy games on cartridge now, so that in the event of the Switch eShop closing in the future, I'll have nothing to worry about. Am I being too paranoid, or do you guys feel at all the same way?
No, I think it's a
Complex issue.
It's a complex issue and a pretty valid concern. We saw stuff like a lot of the Activision licensed downloadable games, like Turtles games, and
Disappearing.
disappear. And so if you have it downloaded, you're fine, but like you can't go back and buy those games. And I'm not sure what happens if you delete it off your hard drive, if you can re-download it, or if it's in like that. I mean, then PT literally, if you don't have it downloaded, you never can, in theory, play that game again. So if there's ever sort of a giant public divorce between a creator and a company, maybe that would happen to an actually released game.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I'm happy to talk about now, exploring GameScoop, but it's been on my mind to write about a little bit, like digital versus physical. For a long time, I insisted on buying physical games because I disliked that you don't technically own your digital games. You're buying a license to play that game, and I don't like that I can't turn this thing that I paid $60 for into cash should I want to.
Or I can't let my friend play it.
Yeah, or I can't loan it to my friend. Sharing permissions could be built in, but there's no sort of sense of liquidating, your thing that if you spend $600 to buy 10 games, you can turn those into $300, but you can't do that if you bought them digitally.
Yeah, but then there's also the convenience of, I love the fact that I have like a dozen games on my Switch. And all I have to do when I travel is just bring my Switch with me. I don't have to worry about bringing all the games.
The Switch is kind of a special case since it is a portable console.
Yeah, same thing with Vita.
Yeah, a little bit different.
I want to do it digital only, and I did bite the bullet and choose to go digital only on the Switch. And I don't regret it. The older I get, the less I sort of think about video games and game collections as being permanent. I kind of just assume, I got the SNES Classic, even though I have those SNES carts in my closet. And I assume that in another 10 years, there'll be something else. I'll be picking up those games another time.
Yeah.
I've everything is just sort of something that I kind of accept that I'm going to enjoy for a window of time.
I collected so many DVDs and Blu-rays.
Exactly.
I had probably 500. And then I haven't bought one in years. Yep. And I'm just like, well, it's streaming on something that I subscribe to. Or if I really want to see, I'll just buy it or rent it.
That's
digitally.
What prompted, I care a tremendous amount about video game preservation and collecting and, the rights of the consumer. But what prompted my thinking around this was actually Blu-rays, because I own all the Marvel movies on Blu-ray. And it's not because I'm the world's biggest Marvel fan. I just I like having a complete collection. But it dawned on me that I'm going to get a 4K TV pretty soon. And these aren't 4K Blu-rays. So I'm like, well, crap. I've already bought, I'm already one format behind. And then those Blu-rays are only going to look weirder and weirder. And it's going to be like my grandparents clinging to their VHS tapes. And I'm like, Grandma, you got to get rid of those.
But as you're saying, at least you can liquidate them now instead of your digital copies.
Well, and so I always, for years, I'm like, who would buy digital movies? Who's going to give Amazon $20 to have a digital copy of Guardians of the Galaxy 2? But now, in some ways, that digital copy is more future-proof than owning it on Blu-ray. I don't really know, if you own a 1080p digital copy of Guardians, what happens when 4K, 8K, the formats continue to advance? Can you pay a few dollars to upgrade your digital copy? Digital collections in some ways feel more permanent and future-proof as physical mediums continue to move on and improve.
What a time to be alive.
One comment is that if you are like me and a collector, there's things to pay attention to with physical copies where my rule is I'm going to buy a game that I think I'll never be able to see again in person and look good on the shelf and it's going to be a rare game. That's a good rule of thumb. Popular games I'm fine doing digital because those will always be around. And then the digital rare games that might go away on a hard drive, that's for somebody else to collect. That's not my thing. I want cool, rare physical copies.
Part of mine was definitely that I was much more of a collector when I had a lot more space. When I lived in Wisconsin, I had a 2-bedroom apartment. Yeah. But now that I just have a single bedroom in a 5-bedroom apartment that I share with people, I dipped off. And I feel like if it came back again, and then if I did have my own place, then I would feel more inclined to sort of collect things and display them.
Yeah. Lots of us just have storage units. We feel very
I was about to say that's San Francisco in a nutshell, I guess.
I hate to do the as a father thing, but it is true that my thinking on this topic has evolved as I had a kid and then had a second kid.
You're collecting kids.
My games are my kids.
You didn't decide to go digital with kids?
I've given up. I have a pretty big board game collection, and my daughter got a hold of one, messed up, tore different parts of it up, and it's not
tore it up like a cat.
Well, she was just playing with some of the cards, and they got messed up.
Yeah.
Cat. And so that and other things like that have just sort of evolved. That's what's contributed to my feeling of look, I'm just paying $60 to have access to this thing for the couple of years that I'm really going to care about playing it, and assume that down the line, my situation will be different.
What are you gonna do with your shuriken collection?
My katanas. I've actually kind of done a complete 180 on the topic, and I don't have a collector mentality at all anymore.
Yeah. Sam, do you know the kill date on the Wii eShop?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Early next year, right? Spring.
Oh, is it that long? I thought it was like
spring.
this month or something.
Oh no, it's 2018.
Okay.
There's 2 kill dates. There's the date where you can't buy anything anymore, and then the date that it just completely goes offline.
What's the point of it being there if you can't buy anything from
Maybe
it?
that's not quite right. Maybe it's the download date, like the buy date and the download date. I don't
Maybe.
know.
Yeah, I
It's
read.
like
Yeah,
rolling, like the services being sunsetted in a couple of stages.
Yeah, if we want to write about that or anything, it would be fun to stuff a Wii with some of the
have
things that we think will be rare.
we talked about that in the meeting the other day.
Yeah, I'm totally.
Oh, you went to that meeting?
I'd love to.
Justin went to that meeting. Yeah,
We could spend a couple $100 and make like a Wii system that we could use for the rest of our lives.
love that.
Actually, yeah, that's a good idea. All right, a couple episodes ago, we put out a call for envelope art, and we've started getting some in.
This is
that we can
so
share
cool.
here. Yeah.
You have no idea, as a kid that grew up a lifelong
How cool that is!
EGM and Game
That's
Pro
so
fan.
good.
Yeah, this is
up on
a
Still
really good
Story.
one, and I like that the 3 of you thought this was a Dracula.
Yeah,
It's definitely a Dracula.
No.
Well,
this
he
is-
has a tie though, so
I can't think of his name, but Killer 7,
cool. And we were just talking
dude from
Harmon?
Killer
Aren't
7.
they all named Harmon?
timely.
I think they are. They're all they're all like the
And this one-
personalities of Harmon.
This one was actually dropped off here because he says, I was going to mail this, but I work across the street.
What?
Nick.
Tony.
Pieces-
Americans?
His name is Nick.
Is he,
He says,
place?
Hey, Omega Cops, I've been listening since 2006
Wow.
and love the show. Sincerely, thank you. Current and past members of the Scoop Crew alike. I heard your call for envelope art and have some fond memories of 90s era Nintendo Power art, so I wanted to contribute. Here's a piece featuring Killer 7's Kunlan. If you like it, you can find me on Instagram at Nick Arcidi. NICKARCIDY, if you want to check out more of his work.
That's so cool.
Good job,
And
Nick.
now that I look at it more closely, yeah. At a glance, it looks like a Dracula. But
Yeah.
no, it's not.
And this one is made to look like Switch.
so cute.
That's really cool.
This is
Is it done
M
with paper
Overcamp
too?
Yeah,
Like it's not even-
like
It's layered.
yeah, it's layered. This is a
Great.
This is actually like crafts.
Yeah, it's a paper craft Switch.
Yeah.
I'm calling it.
I so badly want this to become a thing.
This is Matt in Madison says, hey, Damon, the rest of the Omega Cops. Since I'm a big fan of GameScoop and a big fan of envelope art, as well as a big fan of run-on sentences, I was excited to see that you would show envelope art if we sent it in, so I decided to make an envelope based on everyone's favorite new console and send it in with hopes of seeing it on the show.
Look how good that looks.
Oh, it's even the reflection.
It's a real Switch.
2 switches.
He also sent in a 20 questions suggestion, which we're not going to use because it's Jumpman Jr.,
Oh boy.
which is, he says, his favorite Commodore 64 game.
I don't even know the music for it.
But do you think you could get there?
Well,
If Jumpman Jr. were the game, would you be able to get there?
I could have gotten there.
You could not
I'm
have
making
gotten
that
there.
call.
You could not have gotten there.
I've talked about Jumpman Jr. within the past. I've tweeted about Jumpman Jr. in the past 2 months.
Damon, if someone wants to send us envelope art, what can they do?
Send it to 625 2nd Street, 4th floor, San Francisco, California, 94107 to GameScoop Attention Me, Damon Hatfield. And we'll share it here on the show.
Put the me in there.
There's also
David.
variations of that. You can do Damie hats
Damon Hats? Yeah.
or Demon Hate Filled.
Yeah. If it's only during Halloween time.
Is Demon Hatefield your Twitter name
Yeah.
in October?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And that's actually an old IGN reference. Ty and I did a really dumb video way back in the day where it was a feature on scary games. And finally, the last one is a little bit different. It's not envelope art, but this is Brenton in Dallas, Texas. He said, last episode, you asked for listeners to send in artwork. I know it's not the type of magazine art you guys were talking about, but I thought you guys might at least get a kick out of what I'm sending you. When I was just a kiddo, I was obsessed with Super Mario 64 and would spend my days at school making up stories and adventures for Mario and his companions. I would draw them out and share them with other kids during lunch. I don't have many of them left, but I did manage to save a couple of those stories. I sent you one of those stories, but if you want me to send the other, just let me know. I will mail it in. You guys do a fantastic job, and I look forward to GameScoop and MVC every week. So I can't believe he actually sent this to us because this is like a part of
This
his
is from back in the day.
I
childhood.
feel like we should send it back. Like,
I
it's really
mean,
cool.
maybe, yeah. I'll
This is the
describe.
greatest thing that's ever happened.
Yeah,
Wait till you guys see
This is gonna be hard to see, so I'll describe what is happening here. It's a black and white, like pencil drawing of Mario. It's like set up like a comic strip where he's running around doing things. So in this story, there's a card. He gets a card that says, "Dear Mario, I've baked you a pie. I baked a pie for you, Peach, Princess
Not a
Peach."
cake this time.
So he goes to the
I'm gonna be honest,
castle.
Brent. It's
He
a
gets to the
little derivative.
castle. He gets to the castle. He's confused. She's not there. He hears Mario help. He goes into a painting, falls through some blackness, and he lands with a thunk. Continues on the back.
It's a whole comic. Like
then it says this is part 2. He jumps over some fire. He goes into some blackness. He hears a ha ha ha. It's Bowser. He says, "You fell into my trap." Wrong. And then Bowser says, "Fool, I wrote the letter to fool you."
Twist.
Now you will die. Bowser tells Mario, "Now you will die." And then it says,
hold up that one now.
"To be continued." All right, here's Peach's Peril, episode 2.
Wait,
so in this
that
one,
episode ended?
Yeah, Bowser blows some fire, and it says crackle, and Mario does a backflip over the fire. Then he jumps up, he punches and kicks Mario at the same time. It says double pow. Then Bowser's dead.
What?
And he blows up. I like that. That's a nice detail because at the end of Mario 64, Bowser blows up.
I really like this.
Yeah. So Peach, are you okay? Peach says, "Thank you, Mario." And then it says, "The end," or is it?
Probably isn't.
Probably not the end of Mario, but yeah. I can't believe he sent this into us.
I like it's on 2 types of paper.
Yep.
Seems like something you'd pass in a school.
Very cool. Yes.
Note well.
Brenton in Dallas, Texas. Thank you for sharing that with us.
So cool.
And that brings us to Video Game 20 Questions. Our suggestion this week comes from David K.
Is it David Cage?
Is it Jumpman Jr.? David
K. And it is not Jumpman Jr. That's a hint.
Indigo
It's a bonus hint.
Yeah, a freebie.
Let the questioning begin.
Do you fight bosses in this game?
What? Why do you you fight bosses?
Yeah.
What?
Actually, I'm going to say probably.
All right, it's not Mega Man.
Probably.
Well, honestly, okay. I was a little against your question. Is this before January 1st, 2000?
No.
Same go.
Does this game have sequels?
Mm.
How is this one stumping you?
I will say kind of, or of a sort.
Got to Mario Damasi?
Kind of.
Did this game come out before January 1st, 1990?
What? No, it's after. It's in the 2000s at least. We know.
What?
It is after January 1st, 2000.
Oh, he said after.
So the answer is yes to that.
Is this on wait, so 2000. Is this on like GameCube, PS2, original Xbox era?
No.
Is this on 360, PS3, Wii era?
Yes.
Right?
That's 5.
Is this a Japanese game?
No.
This is an American game.
Well,
You're asking?
The U.S., the gold U.S. of A.
You're
United
asking?
States or North America?
No, I'm asking. I don't know. Yeah, it should be North America because then you get UB.
Yeah.
North America.
You're asking if it was developed in North America? No.
Those Euros.
Is it a rare game?
Made by Rare?
Yeah.
No.
No, he meant rare as in like
Yeah.
the hard. It's European. May or may not have sequels. May or may not have bosses.
Of rare quality.
And it's for the Wii generation of
Wii
games.
generation. So we got.
Is it a? Should we just ask about platform?
Yeah.
Is it on Wii?
No.
So what? PS3, 360?
Yeah. So the European developers.
It's not rare. That's good to know.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't have to be European. It's just not Japanese or North American. Could be one of those Brazilian.
I'm pretty sure it's European.
Yeah.
Who else is making games over there? I mean, UB.
Like Heavenly Sword.
Yeah.
Or it could be one of the Quantic Dream games.
Could be Witcher. Is this
Witcher definitely has sequels. It's definitely not Witcher.
Is it on a? Should we ask if it's just on?
Is it a PS3 exclusive?
No. That's 10.
I was thinking of a couple PS3 exclusives.
Yeah, we're not getting this one.
No, you don't know that. We don't know what kind of a game this is. Let's
we still don't know platform.
let's get some verbs.
Well, it's not PS4 or Wii. It sounds more like a handheld game or a PS.
That's what I was saying. Like, I want to know if it's like some weird PC thing. Like, because like I know it's not World of Warcraft, but like something like that it's hard to characterize whether it has sequels or not. Sensible soccer.
I want to know what kind of a game this
Is
is.
this on PC?
Yes.
Is it exclusively on PC?
Whoa, I don't think we need it. Okay. Well,
Okay.
whatever.
Hold on. We don't need to ask. Damon didn't answer yet. Stone-faced Hatfield. Demon hate-filled.
Because he has the whole Mac thing. I forgot about that.
Well,
I don't have the whole Mac thing.
is it a
Like I wasn't on that episode, but it was a debacle.
Is it a multi-platform game?
Yes.
So PC and either
Xbox
Xbox or
360.
PlayStation.
We already said it wasn't on PlayStation.
No, it's not a PlayStation exclusive.
Don't roll your eyes. I tried hard.
This is what Damon wants.
Yeah, there's no way. Okay. Should we just ask?
No, it's fine.
It's
It's
a
a
Ubisoft game and just try our best.
It's a multi-platform game.
Then it
made
would
in
be
Europe.
like a Montpellier game.
Well, it's multi-platform from Europe. Who else made it?
I'm going through that. Like, there's a 10. Gorilla. No, a
Multi-platform.
Gorilla.
And it's the PS3 era.
Is that-
Okay, so
famous gorilla making video games
What are
but he's not sure if there's bosses in it.
in the
so.
London Zoo.
But I'm guessing there are.
Could be Ninja Theory.
Should we ask about
Could be Heavenly Sword. That's a PS3 exclusive,
I know that's why.
perspective?
so it can't be Ninja Theory.
I know. We don't even know what kind of a game this is. We're not even like.
Okay, then
All right,
you know
Malky,
Marty?
what should we ask about?
Give me a second.
Marty, you can ask what you want. If you want to know what kind of game it is, you have the power.
To play as a girl.
Maybe.
All right. Some sort of
That's a cool question.
some sort
You
of
could.
character creator or. Okay, I'm thinking this is a game with a character creator.
Yeah.
So
Damon made a face. He made a face. Face confirmed.
Or it's like two playable characters, one of them's a girl.
Fighting game. Or you're a racing. It's a racing game.
No, the Europeans don't make fighting games. They're banned.
You're right.
Also, we're going full in that it's European. It could very well be like
Brazilian.
China. It's probably not China.
well, I don't know. I don't have enough to go on at
I
all.
don't even have a
So-
genre.
so
is this
should
is this game
Is this a first?
I got one.
Go for
Does this have realistic graphics?
Realistic-ish.
like attempt
Yeah. It's supposed to be realistic. Yeah.
And it has weird sequels.
may or may not have sequels, may
Well-
not have bosses.
There's definitely. This is not the only game in the series. I'll say that.
So
Is it based on a license?
No. 15. 5 questions left.
Marty, would you say they released Gremlins 1, the movie? Okay? You with me so far?
Yeah.
Justin Stalling.
Gremlins is a film that exists. They release a Gremlins 1 video game. It's based on the movie. They release a Gremlins 2 movie. They release a Gremlins 2 video game that's based on the movie. Would you say that video game is a sequel to the previous video game?
Yes.
Okay. Everyone says yes, but
So riddle me this, Marty Sleva. Could this be a Prince of Persia game?
yeah.
No, that was Montreal.
All of them?
I believe so.
Everyone.
I believe so.
After
What about
Jordan
the
McNamara made the
cartoony
first
one?
That was definitely Montreal.
Okay. That one's so good. What an underrated game from last gen.
2008, I think that was.
So just think of games that could fit this whole description then.
I'm just trying to think of European.
Is this a 3D third person game? Is it a 3D game where you can see your character?
No.
That's like every game from
I know.
last gen.
That's
I mean,
I can't see the girl. How do I know I'm the girl?
is this a first person game?
Yes.
Where you
3 questions left.
a first-person multi-platform game from that era.
might be able to be a girl.
It's not Japanese and it's not American.
Wait, is this something like? It's obviously not Minecraft, but wait, is it Minecraft?
No.
Why not? Is it Notch British?
Yeah, it could be Minecraft.
Is he? What's Notch?
Could be Minecraft.
Is Notch British?
Could be Minecraft.
You could play as a girl. There
No,
might be
he's-
bosses.
He's Swedish. He's Norwegian.
Okay,
One
there's
of those.
always
One
been,
of the-
dude. There's like so much Minecraft.
Oh, hold
I'm
on.
pretty
well,
sure.
I'm completely with you. I just want to, before we go popping off.
Can I pop off on one? Can you give me one to pop off?
No.
Just ask if there's levels.
Did he
in
buy
our
Jay-Z's house? No.
You can use a general one, but yeah, you're probably right. Does this have a building mode?
Do you do a lot of building in this video game?
No. Well, actually, hold on.
If you're gonna be like, actually, it's not building, it's crafting.
I mean, yeah, okay.
Don't do this to us.
I mean, so what I'm assuming is it's not Minecraft.
Right.
Yeah, I would say. I don't think what you would call what you do in this game building.
Angry Birds?
That's just got hella sequels.
2 questions left.
Man, I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
My heart
It
was
is
all
funny.
in on Minecraft.
A lot of the clues did seem to line up with Minecraft.
Ah, dunk.
First
So-
person game. Is this game? Never mind. I don't want to do that. We only got 2 questions left, so we got 1 left, and then we have to guess.
I don't want to talk about it.
Should we just ask if it's a Ubisoft game?
It's not.
I really don't think it's a Ubisoft game, and if I'm wrong, I'll quit.
No, not you can't quit till January at the earliest.
Should we ask if you have a gun or something like that? It won't help really. Is it black? Can it be black?
Can't be
No,
black.
that was the.
Can it be any of the Call of Duties?
No,
Oh, those all have sequels.
they're not made in Europe. Yeah, I mean, are you shooting things with a gun in this game?
You could.
God damn it, Dan.
And you can kind of build stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe it has bosses. Who knows? Could be sequels.
All right, so I think we can.
Was Gears of War Judgment made in Europe?
It's like it sounds like it's a quirky.
No, it's not first person.
Yeah, that's true.
It sounds like it's kind of like a quirky, like Katamari type game, but from maybe Europe.
But first person.
Yeah.
With some sort of, I assume it's like a Fortnite style element of like building without it being like heavy building.
And because you can shoot, you don't have to. So it sounds like it's like a crafting game, like Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. But it's not made by Rare.
We really botched this one. Mostly Marty and I.
Could it be like XCOM type stuff?
No, it's first person. First person can't see your character. Sometimes shooty.
Or is it just that we can't see the character?
It's first person, I asked.
Could be spooky. There's some spooky first person games.
I feel like the building
Survival?
the has some sort of building element is like a big survival. So it's like, what were the games that
Rust.
came after? Yeah, like the next generation that came after Minecraft. Like
But that's a little old for those two.
that's
With
true.
The Wii generation,
Yeah, that's a good
but
point.
it's not on Wii.
Came to consoles and PC as
Could be a
well.
Lego. No, not first person. I was gonna
It
say,
did co-
Lego games sort of have sequels, but aren't. Like I wouldn't say Lego Pirates is a sequel to Lego Star
You
Wars.
build stuff.
They're British.
Obviously,
But they're not based on a license. That's why I asked that question.
Oh, that's hell licenses. That thing is licensed.
And it came to console too, which is another good hint. I've been picturing just PC games.
I wish we could still ask like if it was critically acclaimed or.
Damon was it critically acclaimed?
You
Can
know.
help a boys out.
Damon, are we gonna get this one?
No, we're close.
You guys have a lot of clues. Should I reveal the game? Are we done?
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah, or you want to guess
You
something?
want to make a guess of like a first
So
person
we
multi-platform
lost.
game?
What is one question we should have asked?
Well, I gave you guys a clue last week that you should have used again this week.
Uh-oh.
I love Halloween. It is a horror themed game.
You asked about spookies.
I
So-
did ask about spookies. He does love Halloween.
I
So
still don't have it.
if I told you it was a horror themed first person game where you
Yeah.
build or craft things
Horror craft.
developed
Space.
in Europe,
No.
No. Europe craft.
I still don't have it.
Spooky house.
Dead Island.
Dead Island. The polls.
Dead Island.
I wouldn't have. Who made Dead Island?
Techland.
Techland. Polish.
Published by Deep Silver.
Oh,
2011.
doesn't have sequels because I had Riptide and never had a 2.
2 got like stalled,
in
like indefinite
limbo,
Yeah,
yeah.
indefinite limbo. Yeah. But there was even another one. There was like an adventure game in the
yeah.
Dead Island series. So there was like been other Dead Island games. Didn't they even? There might have even been another one like an MMO on PC or something.
You knew Dead Island was in trouble when Dead Island 2 was not on an island.
Yeah, it's in California.
Actually, it's a peninsula.
Yep, Dead Island. Well, thank you for the suggestion, David K.
Oops.
Where do you guys think? Where do you think you got lost? Is the
It's
post game.
hard for us to get European companies.
I should have known.
because we always think of Ubisoft. That's
In
all
my
we
thing,
think
in my mind, I was going over Poland, and for some reason skipped Techland because there's like only like 3.
It's not very many.
There's like,
So-
I mean, honestly, it's like the UK, France, and Poland in terms of like powerhouse developers in
Yeah.
Europe.
Yeah.
Like obviously there's some in Germany and stuff, but those are the big 3.
I don't know. I think we need to ask about multiplayer early on because like thinking about single player.
We should have asked, did it give a severed woman's torso as a pre-order gift? That's gonna be my lead-off question.
Was that the first game? I don't even think that was. I think that was Riptide
I think
that
it
did
was,
that.
it was
Actually,
just a bad.
Yeah, I always have a hard time. Like, if I can't picture what's happening in that game, like, I would kind of like to lean into, like, transition around question 10 to, like, what are you shooting or jumping
Yeah.
on or doing?
Yeah, that's
like,
good.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if there are bosses, but it's like an action RPG.
Sure, there
so
might
I would
be,
have
like,
it has to be like
yeah.
a
There
special.
were boss characters, right?
I mean, that's what I
think that's a total.
I didn't remember.
I think your answer was fine.
Nicely job, Sam.
Nicely job, everybody.
That is all the scoops we have for you this week. Everybody, whatever it is you're playing this weekend, Mario, Assassin's Creed, Wolfenstein, something else, we hope you have fun doing so. And make sure you join us early on Monday morning for the Sony conference from Paris Games Week. Our pre-show coverage begins at 7:30 a.m. Pacific.
I'll be real sleepy.
I'll brew the coffee.
Perfect.
Marty's going to bring the bagels. We're going to be good.
I didn't know I had to bring bagels.
Thanks for your help, Brian.
He's like, you guys didn't even notice that Brian didn't even get the loop going.
Can we get the Brian cam?
The loop has been static this whole episode.
Oh.
There it is.
Space.
There's the guy that couldn't come up with Dead Island.
three
Just
people
like
in
the
there?
rest of us. None of you three guys.
Thanks
could
for
think
nothing.
of Dead Island.
3 people in there, and they can't even get the monitor loop going behind us. All right. Remember, you can always reach us at the email address, gamescoop@ign.com. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Marty. My name is Damon. This is IGN Gamescoop, and we're out.